Get going. I know who else is. I can see some other people joining, but let's get going. Hi everyone. Happy Tuesday. Um, Given that it's Thanksgiving week, I thought I'd focus on some things that can come up around Thanksgiving. Certainly come up for me as an introvert. We've already had a few big gatherings, and yeah, sometimes it's challenging for me. There's times where as much as I love the cooking and the setting up and all the hubbub and everyone around, it's wonderful. And then there's also just that part of me that's like, man, I'm just, I need some space. So learning how to navigate that, I think if we bring some awareness and attention to, what does it mean to navigate that skillfully if you're like me and you find that overwhelming sometimes. And then there's also the inverse of that, which is I think sometimes, Thanksgiving, Christmas, the holidays, it can feel really lonely too. There can be this sense of, wow, everyone else is doing all this other stuff and gathering and having these big boisterous family get-togethers, and I don't. I'm sitting here on my own trying to figure out what to do. So I think today's session is will hopefully intentionally address both of those scenarios. So theme is resilience, and those of you that have been doing this for a while, this is not a new one, but I think it's just a really good staple practice to run through. So what is resilience? Again, I love these pictures of these plants, these, in this case, this tree growing in these kind of impossible areas. And it just embodies resilience, right? This ability to adapt and recover. And I would even say, grow and thrive in the face of adversity, threats, or stress. Truth is, being human is hard at times. It can be wonderful, but it can also be pretty challenging. And depending on our level of resilience and how we meet those challenges, it obviously makes or breaks that experience. And I certainly spent some time in my life feeling like I really lacked resilience, and so I think it's worth really paying attention to how we can grow resilience. So there's three ideas here that I want to put on the table, and we'll go through in the meditation. The first one is the concept of bounce. So the ability when something happens that hurts or is different than we thought it was going to be, and it somehow upsets us, our ability to quickly return back to some baseline equilibrium. That's what bounce is all about. And the key here is quickly. I know depending on where I've been, or depending on the situation, sometimes it takes me days to kind of find that equilibrium again. Difficult conversation with my wife, or something going on at work that was really upsetting, and sometimes it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. So, but the idea here in terms of balance is being able to literally just like imagine yourself, being one of these women on these little trampolines here, and just being like, oh, okay, that went south, and oops, I bounced right back up to where I was before. That would be ideal. Easier said than done. The next idea is grit. So looking at this guy's hands, he's not getting paper cuts. The other day, I sliced my finger while making dinner. Um, yeah, and it's sort of this idea of like a thick, hardy skin that doesn't allow negativity or any kind of external insults to permeate easily, right? We've got this protective layer. And so the psychological version of that thick skinnedness is grit. So the ability to maintain composure and a sense of perspective while going through something difficult. And then the third thing to flex here is the reframe. And so this has to do with our capacity for creativity, really, is what this is. Right? Something happens, that narrative kicks in that says, oh, this always happens, or they always do this and they never, and fill in the blank. And we all have these grooves. We fall into them really naturally. And so reframing is the ability to experience something and relatively quickly be able to look at it from different angles and say, huh, okay, I know my tendency is to think of this person's comment this way, or imagine that their intention was such and such. But you know what? Right now, I'm going to, um, get curious and get creative and say, yeah, maybe there's like two or three other things that were happening. Whether or not that's true doesn't really matter. It's really just the act of the resilience is the part is the it's almost like an act of defiance to say I'm not just going to automatically go down the old grooves over and over again. I'm going to flex my capacity to reframe and say, oh, maybe something completely different is happening here than my body usually thinks. Okay, so let's try these out. So close your eyes. Start off just by settling into the here and now. See if you can hear the sound of breath coming and going. Sometimes I can hear a little whistle in my nostrils. Certainly hear the sound of air passing through my throat. That's just a telltale sign that the body's breathing. It's doing its magical thing. And we get just to bear witness for a moment, just noticing. And so I'm thinking today's meditation, let's turn it into a kind of visualization. So I don't know what Thanksgiving is like in your life. And so whether it's a more of a lonely activity or a really active family and friends filled activity, see right now if you can sort of visualize what the Thanksgiving day and the Friday and the weekend following might be like. See if you can identify anything that you're anticipating may be a little bit edgy or challenging for certain people, may be challenging, or maybe the lack of certain people that may be difficult. Just feel into that. Imagine them being there. It's Thursday or Friday or whatever you may see them and get together. And there they are doing their thing, making those remarks in that tone of voice. Maybe they're late. Whatever it is that they do or don't do that feels irritating or upsetting in some manner. Now imagine yourself in that situation a few days from now, a little more bounce. Your spirit is a little bouncier, a little more rubbery. Maybe even with a smile on your face, you can bump into that situation. And instead of it getting like really penetrating and upsetting you, you just bounce right back. And you can say to yourself, of course, this is how this goes. Why would I expect any differently? And even that statement can be something where we kind of roll our eyes and, with a lot of heaviness, we say, oh, it's always this way and it's never different. But we can just say, yeah, that's how it goes. I have enough experience at this point and bounce right back. I'm not going to let this completely upset me. I get to choose to return back to where I want to be. And then the second part of resilience is grit. So imagine just feeling grittier in the face of that. Maybe in this case it has more to do with the absence of certain people or wanting something that's not present for you during the Thanksgiving, during that day. Just notice yourself just being a little more armored. Your skin is a little thicker. Situation does not need to completely upset you or rock your world. You're a survivor. You got this. And so you're not even letting it penetrate to upset the insides. It's just bouncing off of you. And then last but certainly not least is the reframe. When you notice the mind spinning the old stories of, oh, they always, or they never, see if you can, again, with a smile on your face, to say, okay, wait a second, that's the old way. Let me see if I can think of another two or three narratives or storylines that describe why this is happening to me or why they do this. That's different. That's more creative than the thing that I usually tell myself. And a little pro tip here is to explore storylines where you are not the central character in that narrative or that play. Probably got nothing to do with you, and they're just having their experience. They're just doing their thing. It may seem personal, but what if it wasn't? What if it had nothing to do with you? And so there you are going into the Thanksgiving celebrations, either alone or with lots of other people. But you now hopefully have just a better felt sense for what it would be like to be a little bouncier and grittier, a little more creative. Just remember you're the captain of your ship, and you get to steer this in any direction that you want. And it starts with just being aware of, so taking ownership of how you want to go through this and really make it something that is yours, or is representative of your values and what you want Thanksgiving to mean to you. And take a deep breath in, long, slow exhale through the mouth out. Slow and steady, just relaxing the shoulders, the chest, the belly. Just keep pushing air out. 5, 3, 2, 1. In and out slowly. Just really relaxing and settling into the body. And hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open your eyes. Um, yeah, my intention here is to sort of give us a little bit of prep time as we head into Thanksgiving, and just know that this was all sort of motivated by my own experience on Sunday, where all kinds of people came over, and I went into that situation just feeling pretty spent and depleted, and I kind of rallied, and I was like, "Cool, that's resilience in action there." So felt pretty good. So hope that was helpful, and hope to see you tomorrow.